Teaching is not only about delivering knowledge, but also about understanding how students learn and behave. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to Dr. Azlina and everyone. We are from Group 1 and this video presents a psychological analysis of the Ron Clark story, focusing on the application of psychological principle to enhance students' behavior, motivation, and also learning. The Ron Clark story is a 2006 American television film based on the educator Ron Clark. It follows the tale of an idealistic teacher who leaves his small hometown at North Carolina to teach in a New York City public school, where he faced various challenges with his students. Despite facing behavioral problems, low motivation, and academic failure among his students, Ron Clark applies psychological principles to improve their learning, behavior, and also self-beliefs. These include Pavlov's classical conditioning to create positive feeling towards studying, and also positive reinforcement in operant conditioning to encourage good behavior and improve class performance, as well as the use of growth mindset and motivation.
From this movie review, we can explore how different learning theories can be used to influence students' behavior. Next, we can analyze how teacher strategies affect student responses. And next, to relate some more specific teaching scenes from the movie with edu-psychology theories. And lastly, to highlight the importance of applying appropriate learning theories.
For the methodology, the study used a qualitative method to analyze the Ron Clark story film. The movie was chosen because it shows real-life classroom situations involving student behavior, emotion, motivation, and learning. So first, watching the movie. The movie was watched at least 2 times to better understand the storyline, characters, and challenges faced by Ron Clark as a teacher. Special attention was given to scenes showing the teaching strategies, classroom management, and student reactions. The focus was also on how students' attitudes and behavior changed after Ron Clark used different teaching methods. Scenes related to discipline, encouragement, motivation, and emotional support were carefully observed to understand how teacher actions influence student learning and confidence. Second, discussion section. Each group member selected scenes that clearly showed psychological theory and concepts learned in class. These scenes were analyzed based on student behavior, learning processes, and teacher-student interaction. Group members referred to the lecture notes and reliable sources to ensure accurate analysis. Similar ideas were discussed together to avoid repetition. This method helped ensure the discussion was organized, clear, and supported by psychological theory. Overall, the analysis connects real classroom situations in the film with psychological concepts.
The scene that I chose to analyze in the Ron Clark movie is the chocolate milk scenes, which the grammar lesson. I will describe a bit about these scenes. Since the students had not followed his instructions, Mr. Clark promised to drink a carton of chocolate milk every 15 seconds if they stayed quiet and listened during the grammar lesson. Also, Mr. Clark gave Julio a ruler and a glass jar and asked him to heat the jar every 15 seconds to signal when Mr. Clark should drink the chocolate milk. And then, Mr. Clark kept his promise by drinking the chocolate milk each time Julio heat the jar, which made the students happy. Lastly, after drinking several cartons of chocolate milk while the students stayed quiet, Mr. Clark asked a final question and a student raised her hand and confidently answered it correctly. Now I will explain about what theory or concepts that relate with these scenes, which is the chocolate milk scenes. The scenes reflects behaviorist learning theory, specifically operant conditioning, introduced by B.F. Skinner in 1953, which explains that behavior is influenced by its consequences. Mr. Clark applies positive reinforcements to encourage good behavior, rewarding students when they remain quiet, attentive, and engaged. How? Do students find the reinforcement which watching Mr. Clark drink chocolate milk in an entertaining way is enjoyable, which motivates them to continue behaving appropriately and paying attention? Also, the scene clearly demonstrates operant conditioning as students' behavior improves immediately after the reinforcement is introduced. Although unconventional, this strategy helps students self-regulate their behavior through external motivation. Clark's approach is effective in gaining classroom control and creating a positive learning environment. And lastly, the activity shows that in challenging classroom, creative and well-structured reinforcement strategies can increase focus and support academic achievement.
For scene analyzing, I choose honesty and line cutting scene for scene analyzing. At first, Shamika denied she cuts the line and Ron Clark seemed to unconvinced by her action. Then, Ron Clark explained to Shamika that all of her classmates are family and they depended on her answer whether they could go for recess or not. Lastly, Shamika admitted she did cut the line and after telling truth, the students can go for recess. Moving on to the theory and concept related to scene chosen by me, which is honesty and line cutting scene. B.S. Skinner theory regarding on operant conditioning, where behavior is shaped through reinforcement, applied in this scene. Why? Because operant conditioning applied in these scenes as negative reinforcement because something unpleasant is removed. Why? When Shamika admitted she did cut the line, the delay of going to recess being removed. The delay of going to recess is one of the something unpleasant that being removed from the scene. Shamika willingly to be honest eventually because of the positive outcomes rather than fear. We can see in this scene, Ron Clark doesn't use any harsh punishment on Shamika. Instead, he asks her to be honest instead of lying.
Analysis of scene 3 is the president's rap song. In this scene, the students failed their test because they had to memorize many facts about the 42 US presidents. At first, Ron Clark was used a normal teaching method, but the students showed little interest and complained. While marking the test papers at home, Ron Clark was disturbed by his neighbors' loud singing. This gave him an idea to use music as a teaching method. He created a rap song about all 42 US presidents using a catchy beat and simple slang to help students remember better. In class, Ron Clark told the students that none of them passed the test. He then surprised them by turning on the radio and performing the rap song while dancing. The students became excited, joined in singing, and enjoyed the lesson. After repeating the song many times, the students were able to memorize all 42 presidents. Later, Ron Clark returned the test papers and the students achieved good results. They were happy and proud of themselves. The cognitive strategies used in this scene is mnemonics and dual coding. This scene can be explained using cognitive learning theory, which focuses on memory, understanding, and information processing. The students failed not because they were lazy, but because the traditional teaching method made it hard for them to remember and organize the information. When Ron Clark introduced the rap song, learning became more interactive and engaging. The use of rhythm, repetition, and singing helped students process information more effectively. Instead of passively listening, the students actively participated, which improved their memory and understanding. This scene shows that learning becomes more effective when information is presented in a way that matches students' cognitive abilities. Ron Clark's teaching method supports cognitive learning theory by helping students remember information through music and repetition.
Yeah, what up, Mr. C?
You tell me.
In the first scene, Ron Clark reviews his students' test results and becomes clearly frustrated by the low scores. This moment reflects the concept of behaviorism, where outcomes such as test results act as a feedback on students' learning. The poor results signal that the current teaching and learning strategies are not effective. Ron Clark's frustration shows his concern but also motivates him to change his approach. From a psychological perspective, this scene highlights how feedback can influence future behavior and instructional strategies.
There's no way we're gonna pass those tests. We always mess up.
In another scene, Alita, who is Shamika's friend, says, "I know we were gonna pass those tests." This statement shows the student's lack of confidence and negative mindset. Psychologically, this reflects low self-efficacy, meaning the students do not believe their ability to succeed. It also suggests learned helplessness, where repeated failure leads students to feel that effort will not change the outcome. This scene helps us understand the emotional barriers that prevent students from engaging fully in learning.
It's nothing.
But Mr. Clark, we have to get certain grades to graduate, right? So what if we, choke?
But you're not going to choke. You guys didn't work hard all this year just to get ready for some tests?
Later in the movie, Ron Clark tells his students, "You guys didn't work hard all this year just to get ready for some tests." This scene reflects the concept of a growth mindset. Instead of focusing only on test scores, Ron Clark highlights if effort, improvement, persistence. He encourages students to see learning as a process and to understand that ability can improve with hard work. This helps shift the students' mindset from fear of failure to confidence in their own growth.
All right, tomorrow is the big day, but don't worry, you know the material backwards and forwards. So just get a good night's sleep and, good luck.
Before the exam begins, Ron Clark tells his students to get a good rest and not to stress too much. This scene shows his understanding of test anxiety and emotional regulations. From a psychological perspective, students who are calm and well rested are more likely to perform better in the test. By reducing pressure, Clark helps students manage their emotions and approach the exam with a clearer and more focused mindset.
Next, I'm going to explain the fifth scene, which is the jump speech and the candle ritual. So if you look at the first picture, Mr. Clark is joining the rope jumping activity with the student. What actually happened here is that Mr. Clark physically jumps as a metaphor for taking risks in learning. Next, Mr. Clark demonstrates to the student how to light the candle. He teaches them the significance of the ritual while doing this, explaining that each flame stands for courage, hope, and the ability to make a jump in life. Every student then is participating in a symbol-based group activity. They build meaning as a group by doing this. So the jump speech and the candle ritual scene powerfully show self-efficacy and social constructivism as it intertwine physiological construct in building the student motivation. So Albert Bandura says self-efficacy theory emphasizes an individual belief in their capacity to execute action for desired outcome, which align with four sources: self-mastery experience, role modeling, persuasion, and psychological cues. Here, Mr. Clark activates self-efficacy by sharing his personal story, which is the rock climbing story, to comfort the student, serving as the vicarious experience that show overcoming fear, while his direct encouragement, which is "you can do this," provide verbal persuasion to overcome the student's self-doubt. Simultaneously, social constructivism also happened in the scene. Lev Vygotsky says social constructivism shows that learning can emerge through collaborative and social interaction mediated by cultural tools and positioning a higher psychological function, but still within the community practice. The candle ritual represents this as a shared cultural artifact which facilitates co-construction of meaning around commitment. This ritual also symbolizing the transmission of hope into the students into believing what they can do and responsibility across the circle. Mr. Clark functioned as the mediator that elevate the individual understanding that goes beyond individual contemplation into building of a shared understanding. So by filling absent knowledge with model success and feeling motivated from the warmth of the ritual, this combination increases self-efficacy. Meanwhile, constructivism scaffold higher motivation through group-mediated symbolism, directly confronting low belief obstacle in situation with limited sources, like the student. This scene shows the growth of the individual power within a shared zone through verbal and cultural exchange. By incorporating both constructivism ambiguity and self-efficacy of individualism into a concrete, deeply personal practice that produces scholar advance, this combination challenges theory limitation. In the end, the rituals show how this framework works together to create a long-lasting resilience as shared light ignites belief system that move kids from doubt to academic success. Thank you.
Now I will present about the summary, which is the summarization of the all scenes that we chose to analyze in the Ron Clark story. The analysis of selected scenes from the Ron Clark story demonstrate that effective teaching in high-challenge classroom environment is not rooted in a single education psychology theory, but in a flexible and responsive integration of multiple psychological frameworks. Ron Clark's success lies in his ability to sequence and combine behaviorism, cognitive, social cognitive, and motivational principles to meet his students' evolving needs. Clark begins by establishing behavioral structure and engagement through behaviorism. The chocolate milk scenes illustrate operant conditioning through positive reinforcement, where students' appropriate behavior is immediately rewarded with an entertaining consequence. Similarly, the honesty and line-cutting scenes applies operant conditioning through negative reinforcement, as truthful behavior removes an unpleasant outcome. These strategies help Clark gain control, promote responsibility, and create a predictable classroom environment essential for learning. Once behavioral norms are in place, Clark shifts towards enhancing learning through cognitive strategies. The President's Rap Song scene highlight the use of mnemonic and dual coding, transforming rate memorization into an engaging and memorable activity. By aligning instruction with students' cognitive processing abilities, Clark improved understanding, retention, and academic confidence. Beyond behavior and cognition, Clark placed strong emphasis on students' internal beliefs and motivation. The pep talk before the state exam reflects self-efficacy and growth mindset principle. As Clark encouraged effort, persistence, and belief in one's abilities. His emotional support reduced anxiety and strengthens students' confidence to face academic challenge. This focus on belief and motivation is most powerful reinforced in the jump speech and candle ritual scene. Clark integrates self-efficacy and social constructivism to help students overcome fear and commit to learning by modeling courage and guiding students through a shared ritual. He fosters both individual belief and collective meaning making, demonstrating how motivation is strengthened through social interaction and emotional connection. Overall, the Ron Clark story reveals that effective educational psychology is pragmatic and student-centered. Ron Clark treats theories as flexible tools rather than rigid formulas, selecting strategies based on his students' immediate behavioral, cognitive, and emotional needs. His unwavering belief in his students' potential forms the foundation of his teaching approach, proving that relational trust and psychological insight together can transform both academic performance and students' belief about themselves.